Good morning and happy Monday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chum Chan, just live and recorded. For those of you that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news or news in general in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. I've been absent for the past week, so I apologize to any hiccups. Well, let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll go from there. Mr. DJ Mines, dude, good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well over there. We have Nismo Miner, Offshore Miner. What's up, man? Carl Coate, Chris Hanley. Somebody said Uptober, it's time. And yes, you guys know October typically is an uptrend, which is cool. Joker, what's up, man? I thought you sold everything and left. What's going on? You're back? Told you I'd see you in a week. Steven Cicero, what's up, man? Good to see you. Andrew Masad, we have Crypto Craig in the house. Crypto MB, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see, Backwards Miners here. Let's see, Scott Sheffield 56, my man Matt Electron, what's up, dude? Good to see you guys. It was great seeing you guys this weekend. All right, let's get into this and see what we're looking like. Bitcoin 63,842 bucks. Got Ethereum at 2736. Solana 160 bucks. Nice. It was 140 or something last week, I believe. XRP still floating around 60 cents or so. It's at 59.38 to be exact. We got, let's see, Caspis just under 17 cents. We got Litecoin at $64.08. All right, let's see. Near actually is something I purchased at like $3.90 or something. It's up to $4.86. I got this a week and a half ago or so, and I thought it was a bad decision, but I'm glad I did. Let's see, ETC 19 bucks, 19.92, almost $20. We have 88 37 cents. Actually, this was at 40 cents last night. 88 came up from 30 cents. It's actually been having a little bit of a climb lately, which is cool. Dogecoin 10 cents, 10.7 to be exact. Let's see, BNB's at 5.62. Let's see, actually I heard some drama with Toncoin. I'm not gonna get into it, but didn't some dude get arrested, some Telegram guy get arrested? Does that have anything to do with Ton? Does anybody know? Please let me know. I know it's like it's Telegram coin, right? Or is that just the gram token? I don't understand the whole thing, but anyways, it's $5.57 if anybody cares about Ton. All right, let's show crypto bubbles. What in the hell is dogs? This is the biggest loser of the day. 25.7% down, ranked in 94th place, $697 million market cap. Never heard of this coin. Another meme coin just pop out of nowhere. What's going on? What's going on? Randy, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Thanks for being here, man. Let's see. Game with Smokey Dan said, did you see on Unmineable about Pirate Hash rewards process mistakenly credited large amounts of coins to all online Pirate Hash miners? Jesus. No, I didn't. But
stop the cap.
Who got paid more? I want to know. I want to know if it's actually somebody that really got paid more. Please let me know. That's weird though. I did not hear that at all. And I put that button in there for you, DJ. Just saying. Chuck Danger, you did? Oh, all right, then I believe it. If somebody actually got paid more, then I believe it. But that's crazy. Damn. How does that affect things? That's nuts. Let's see, Mr. Steven Cicero, you have any CPUs or RAM you can send me? No, I don't. I'm sorry. No, Matt Electron taped an Epic actually to my windshield. It's like a $25 old Gen 1 Epic CPU, and yeah, he trolled me, put stickers all over my car. And yeah, that's that. Anyways, all right, let's see what else we got over here. We have Fetch AI 6.8% up on the day, $1.35. Sats is down 10.1% if anybody cares. Let's see. Man, there's really like nothing popping out at me besides that stuff. HNT's at it's up 4.1% to $6.64 if anybody's still into that. Jupiter's up 3.1% to 91 cents. It's a little bit down though, actually. Wasn't it closer to $1 if I'm not mistaken? Yeah, literally nothing over here is jumping out at me. All right, flashbang, let's see what we got. Fear and Greed Index at a 55. Let me just refresh, make sure. Yes, we are. Last week we were at 28 in fear. Yesterday it was neutral, 54. Today greed, 55. We're gonna see what happens with this thing. We don't want this thing to climb. We want it to float in the middle for a little bit, stay under 75. That's where we want it. That's where we want it. With this market right now, it's perfect, my opinion. All right, top 10 coins by coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, USDC, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, Dogecoin, and Tron. What?
Bruh.
In 10th place, Tron takes 10th place at a $14.5 billion market cap. Look at this. Toncoin, 11th place. What? 14? Well, when did Cardano get down to 12th? What is happening? Why is Cardano in 12th place? This is crazy. What is happening? You know what, to be honest, I use Tron. I use the Tron network. I like it. It's actually it's pretty decent. It's not bad. The fees aren't that bad either. But man, I didn't see this coming. What is up with this? Like, I didn't even, is that the logo? That's the logo for Toncoin. I've never seen that logo ever, not once. But $5.57. Crazy. Show the max chart on this one. Where are we at actually? What was the all-time high? 32.9% down about 2 months ago. So it's $8.25. Oh, crazy. Interesting. I don't know. That's the max chart. It's real choppy, but hey, listen, it's gaining momentum, so whatever. I don't know, not a coin I'd hold, but you guys do what you want. It's all you. Let's see, let's scroll down through this. Near Protocol over here, 22nd place, $4.85. I still think it's pretty cheap. Actually, I think is it 80% down? Let's see, 76% down 2 years ago. It was at $20. I think this is gonna be a decent one to get into, it's my opinion, but you guys do what you want. Let's see, we have Caspa 28th place, still at 16.81, almost 17 cents. Caspa's been doing pretty good actually, but the yield on the miners have been really going to shit. And yeah, how's lithium doing actually? Man, I've been gone for a week. I haven't looked at nothing. Like literally, I haven't paid attention to anything. I barely paid attention to my solar trailer. Forgot to shut it off a couple times actually. All right, let's see. Lithium, $1.66. Actually, that's better than it was last week. It was $1.40 something if I'm not mistaken, or 2 weeks ago. Let's see. Why are we on the 1 year? Let's go to 1 month. So it's kind of floating along. Like we had an initial like, oh shit moment when those miners were getting announced, right? It's kind of just chugging along. I guess we're gonna have to see. I really am interested to know if Bitmain is gonna artificially pump the price before they dump these big units. Because if they don't, I mean, I don't know. I really don't think this is gonna go in a good direction if they don't put some money into the market to make this coin pop. That's just me. But you know, the thing about lithium is they still do have a very low market cap, to be honest. It's not much. 142 million. It's not much at all. So you guys, yeah, take it as you will. I don't know. I just wish they had a better wallet, to be honest. Like, just, I want the main chain to be on Tangem. That's all I want. Please. Please. I'm gonna email the guy today and ask him why can't they just get the main chain on there, because the ETH chain sucks. Nobody likes those fees. Let's see, anything else? Render, $6.25. Man, Render's been taking a beating lately, but I think Render's gonna be doing all right at some point. 54% down about 5 months ago. $13.53. Interesting. I wonder what this is gonna do. What do you guys think? What do you think about Render? Look at that. Had the same thing. Actually, you know what? Oh, this is when everything crashed, isn't it? That spike with the lithium. That was when everything went down. Hold on. Let me just look at another coin. Go to BitTensor over here. BitTensor is going to be another good one, I think. Yeah, this is the crash. Yeah, so this was when everything pulled back. So that lithium thing was nothing. When I said that, it was about the news. It wasn't. That was everything. Every market went down that day. I forgot. All right, moving on. Mining segment of things. You guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. Let's see what we're looking like today. Let's refresh this real quick. We got the AL Pro 16.6 terahashes over here, mining a lithium. $326 a day. These things, when are they getting released? Beginning of September? Yeah, is that when they start shipping, I assume? And it says, are these already out? These ones, 15.6 terahash unit over here, making $307 a day. These things were, this was at $1,100 one time I saw it a couple months ago, or a month ago or so. It was about $1,100, right? It's probably 3 weeks or so. Crazy how far it's already came down. If this is over $200 when they get released, I'm gonna be shocked. I'm gonna be honest. All right, let's see. Bitmain Antminer KS5 Pro, 21 terahashes, making $20.85 a day. This one, man, this used to make a lot more money. Let's see, Nismo, yeah, I feel you. Let's see, Ton changed the logo due to the arrest. Oh, really? Interesting. All right, I'll look at that in a minute. Thank you, Crypto KJ. If you guys have any questions, add me in the chat, feel free. All right, we got the, let's see, where are we at? The KS5 20 terahash unit making $19.86 a day. Sorry, put down a chat, I had to pick it back up. All right, the L9 over here, 16 gigahashes. We got, this is merge mining Doge and Litecoin, $14.62. I heard that you guys actually can triple mine with bells now. Is that true? I haven't tried it yet, but I heard What was it, Mining Dutch? Is that one in F2 pool? Are those the two? Let me know. Is anybody doing it? I think Andrew Massad's doing it. Let me know if it's been profitable. Interesting to say the least. I want to see what happens. I guess it'll raise your machines by like $1 or $2, which is kind of cool. So who knows? I mean, let's see where you can sell it. I guess that's the biggest deal. Let me know where you're selling it, Andrew. The Gold Shell AL Box 2. I got this thing in my solar trailer on free electricity, but oh, you know what? This is at 12 cents. I forgot. Damn it. I forgot this thing auto does it to 12 cents ASIC miner value. Dang it. All right, so the prices went up a little bit on these machines, my bad. But the AL Box 2 at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, you're making $13.78 a day, which is pretty decent. It's just, I wish the price was cheaper. If the price was cheaper on these gold shells, I think they'd sell a lot of them. It's just right now they're too expensive. The KS5M, that's just my opinion, 15 terahash unit over here, $13.21 a day. Man, we need a good price appreciation in Caspa for these machines to like make sense to buy. Now I would rather just buy the coin. That's just my opinion. AlphaPax DG1, let's see, we got $11.85 a day on 14 gigahashes merge mining Doge and Litecoin. We got the iPolo G1 over here, 126 hashes over here. It's $10.84 a day. The KA3, look at this, 166 terahash unit mining Cadena. This Cadena, where did that one come from? Hasn't that one been like non-existent for a while? $10.31. Gotta look at Cadena now. I'm just gonna put KDA. How do you even spell it? I don't even know how to spell Cadena. God damn it. KD. Why is the logo weird on this site? Strange. It's up 10% today. 24 hours. Couple cents. 7 days. I guess it's been having a decent jump. What's going on with Cadena? It's back to where it was, I guess. A month ago. 3 months ago. Still down 1 year ago. I've never mined Cadena. This isn't one of those coins I've been into. But man, they've had that machine took a beating. Oh my god, look at this chart. That chart is AIDS. That's terrible. That is awful. All right, scrolling down. Let's see. Leo Lustig, what's up, dude? Dan R, good to see you, man. Good to see you. All right, we got the Alithium ALO. You guys know I just got this thing, and this is in the solar trailer. I dropped a video on it the other day. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. But 400 gigahashes at 100 watts. This thing's stupid efficient. $7.90 a day. It's wild, but I don't think it's gonna last. I'm betting I would be willing to put money on about a month or so before we see an announcement of a ALO Pro. That's my guess. That's my guess, because the big machines are definitely gonna wipe this one out. That's my opinion. I hope it doesn't. I mean, it's kind of hard to be not profitable at 100 watts. I mean, even the KS0s, like, yeah, they don't make much, but they still make something, and they've already paid for themselves, in my opinion. So it's like whatever. The Gold Shell AL Box, the original 360 gigahashes, 180 watts over here, making $6.89 a day. Let's see. All right, Antminer L7, I got this thing down at Terra Hosting. Shout out to them. If you guys are interested in hosting, go check out links in the description. 9050, you guys know I got this thing down there at 10 cents kilowatt hour, making $5.52 a day. I'm wondering if I should switch this over to that triple mining with bells. I don't know, I might look into that today, actually, if I have some time. Depends. I got the kids, and if they come bomb the stream, I apologize. They're both upstairs. I'm shocked they're being this good. Scrolling down, we got the Gold Shell EKA1M. This is that brand new unit that they put out that I'm pretty sure we can't find the price on. Somebody, I think it was Saturday night, said that Hawk said that they put the price somewhere, or one of the guys said it, they saw the price, but I still haven't seen an actual price on this unit. $3.52 a day. I hope it's like $1,000 or so. Maybe ask the Pran, he could probably tell you everything about it. Oh really? Interesting. Let's see. Yes, you should add it. It's like $2 more to your L7. Perfect, Crypto KJ, thank you. Let's see real quick. Carl Code said I want the AL1LM. LM, I don't know what that is. Oh, you saying like there's going to be another variant, kind of like the KS3M? I think that's what you're kind of getting at. Interesting. It'd be neat. All right, real quick, I want to check out my S19, and then we're gonna get into some news, because I don't want to go too long today. Oh man. All right, well, it looks like 10 cents kilowatt hour. At least I'm back, well, not losing more than $1 a day. I'm losing 96 cents. That kind of sucks. But the S19K Pro, 120 terahashes at 10 cents per kilowatt hour, you're still losing almost $1 a day. But I actually switched this over to solo mine Bitcoin Cash for a month. I'm gonna do it for a month, and I'm gonna see if I hit one, because it's still like $1,200 you hit a block on Bitcoin Cash. It's worth the gamble for me. I'm losing money anyways. Like, this thing's losing money anyways. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna gamble for a month, see if it hits. If it hits, sick. If it doesn't, then hey, whatever. I took a shot at it. Say I did it, you know? All right, moving on. GPUs. Actually, that was interesting. What the hell is that? CPUs over here. Varus coin. Look, is Varus coin popping off? What's going on there? It's Spur, SPR. What is this coin? I forget what it's called. Spectre Network. Don't know anything about it, but that looks like it's pretty profitable on some of the Ryzen CPUs over here. We have XMR on the AMD Epic. Interesting. Wow. Oh, there we go. Here's Zephyr. I was gonna say Zephyrus got kicked off the chart entirely. Holy shit. Let's check out Varus coin real quick. I want to see what that's looking like. Is it VRS? VRSC. That's what it is. Ticker. All right, $1.75. Man, you know what? I tried to send some money out of my Varus coin wallet and it didn't work. I actually have to follow up on that and see where the hell it is, if it's there, if it came out of my wallet or not. But it definitely didn't work. That wallet's another one. Please just get on Tangem. Like, why can't we not just all have hardware wallets, please? All right, anyways, we've had a little bit of a run up in the past month. Well, 50 cents. Nice. Crazy. Mr. Crypto KJ, dude, thank you so much for the is this British pounds? Is that what that is? $2. Thank you. This SC is worth more than 2 days of my yes, 19K. I hate you. I hate you so much, but thank you for the troll. I appreciate it. Oh, that was great. Wasn't I thought you were telling me something important that I missed? Maybe that's usually what happens, but thanks for the troll. Monday morning troll. Love it. All right, let's look at the GPUs over here. 4090 Pyron hash over here on Nice Hash. Interesting. We have Ironfish, Nice Hash, Pyron dual mining. Weird. That's a weird combo. We have Nexa over here with Xano as well, the 4090. Let's see, Chlor, the 4080 Super. Chlor. Why is Chlor on the top of the charts for a friggin' what? A power hungry card. Must be nobody on it. Must be the yields must be high or something. 1 month. Yeah, Chlor's not doing that great. It's at 6 cents. Wasn't that like 30? I think so. Yeah, DJ was like taking profits up here somewhere. If I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I went up to like 30 something. Damn. Or 44 it says. Jesus, 86% down. You know what? Chlor's get a good wallet. Please. Please. Like, what in the hell? So glad I sold all my Chlor at the top, dude. DJ, good for you, man. That's crazy. That's awesome. But dude, they have a platform, and their platform's actually like it's legit. You could use it. So I just wish they had a better wallet. If they had a better wallet, I'd buy some. I don't know. Now's a good time to buy though. It's over 80% down. That's my opinion. I don't know what's gonna happen with it in the future. No affiliation, obviously, but just I don't know. Anyway, Xano, it looks like, damn, takes over pretty much every other card. Look at this. XNA is Nura AI, if I'm not mistaken, over here on the Radeon 7. Interesting. Oh, we got Flux popping up at the 2080. It's pretty much the only one that's really on. Interesting. All right, so you guys get a bunch of coins to choose from today. Nothing really crazy jumping out at me, but interesting. All right, before we get, actually, let's get into the news. Let's get into the news. I'm turning this music down. All right, we got Intel hiring Morgan Stanley, other advisors for activist defense. I have no idea what this is about, but this came out about an hour ago. Let's see what they got to say over here in CNBC television. Let's do it. Holy shit, that was loud. God damn.
I don't even want to see where these shares are, to be honest, but let's do it anyway. Let's check out the shares of Intel this morning, 20.
What is Joe doing?
Chip maker working with advisors, including Morgan Stanley, to fend off activist investors. You probably knew.
Wait, is that the dollar amount? Is this the dollar amount? I don't know. Is this the dollar amount? Does anybody know? I don't know how to read these charts. I really don't.
Knew this was coming. According to people familiar with the matter, no new campaign has been formally launched. It isn't clear if an activist investor has been in contact yet with the.
All right, yeah. So Patrick Murphy said it's at $20. Yeah. So oh shit. I guess it did take quite of a dump. Wow.
The board of Intel. Morgan Stanley has previously worked with Intel, including in the company's 2022 spinoff of Mobileye. Let's see the market cap here.
It's like 80.
88.
Stock is down this year, down nearly 60% just for the year. And you can go back and with a longer term chart, and really pretty unbelievable.
It is, yeah. It's right around tangible book value. That's
Holy
where the stock
shit.
trades.
Wow.
I mean,
Holy shit. That's crazy. Yeah, no wonder he's crying. He's definitely invested into that. Oh, look at that. Mr. Geek of all trades, thanks for being here, man.
now that book value is lots of factories and whatnot. And they did cut capex. It's interesting to think about what an activist would suggest they do exactly.
Yeah, and it's unclear whether there's an actual campaign or if they're just preemptively given what the stock has done.
Exactly.
It's a third the levels it was in 2021, and they've tried a lot of different things. I mean, they're laying off employees and they're trying to cut costs, but I don't know how that gets them.
Went hard into the building of foundries and things like that.
I mean, the dynamism of Silicon Valley might be like the greatest thing about it, but that does leave legacy companies just in the dust a lot, which is weird. So the 26 and 27-year-olds really do take over somehow, and the baton gets handed. Intel had everything you could possibly want going for it in terms of financial strength and facilities, and you have to work hard to lose your way to that extent. And you know, and you can't say it couldn't have been done, because you look at how AMD navigated the same.
Yeah, although being a quasi-monopoly in the core market, I mean, I'm sure it engenders certain types of, defensive behavior.
Insular.
Trying to maintain.
Look at the big three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that's insane, man. What in the hell? Anyways, moving on. The Fed is misjudging the current situation and no longer data dependent. Let's see what they got to say over here. Again, CNBC television about an hour ago.
Let's take a closer look at the markets after Fed Chair Jay Powell's comments last week. Joining us now is Kamal Srikumar, Global Strategies President. Good morning, Sri. So, pretty unequivocal by Jay Powell on Friday, suggesting that, soft landing remains in hand. Inflation seems pretty steadily on a pace toward target. It's time to worry about any potential further weakness in the labor market, and cuts are coming. So, markets celebrated. What's your reaction?
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me. I think to begin with, the labor market is not weak. We created 114,000 jobs in July, the latest figure. Keep in mind, in April, it was only 108,000 jobs, and then it picked up again. So April to July, there was an increase, and we would probably have more jobs being created in the months to come. Second, inflation is still above target. And this last part of the journey is always very difficult. And Jerome Powell should know that. He declared victory last December, only to find out that in the first quarter of 2024, inflation perked up again. The risks here that I see, Mike, are on the US side, that you can still have inflation picking up from different sources, particularly in the case of rent, which is still remaining pretty elevated. And I don't think the increase in house prices is going to do anything to calm rent increases. They're going to stay high. And the global scene, again, we have uncertainties relating to fuel prices, and inflation could go up. But you can think of a whole lot of different sources, Mike. So I think it is too soon to declare victory.
Well, Powell didn't exactly declare victory over inflation last December. He essentially said rates are peaking, inflation seems like it's down from its highs. And then when the market went too far in the beginning of this year, pricing in half a dozen cuts, in a hurry, he quickly turned and said, no, that's not our plan. And I just wonder why you think that the Fed's framework, as it's been laid out for a long time, which is if inflation is, 2.5% or so, or at least under 3, and the Fed funds rate is at 5 3/8, and unemployment is up from 3.6 to 4.3, it's time to at least have a more balanced approach.
The increase in the unemployment rate has come largely from an increase in the participation rate on the labor. So more people are looking for jobs. You can't find jobs for all of the people coming into the labor force, and the unemployment rate increases as a result. That seems to be the major reason why unemployment rate went up, rather than the fact that layoffs have increased, which is not the case. So I think the remedy that he used is wrong. Second, in December, he did indicate, and the markets did take the message, that rate cuts were imminent. And very little was done to calm down expectations of 6 rate cuts during 2024. And abruptly, he had to pivot again when inflation did not stay close to what he expected. And we all know this is not the first time that he has been wrong in his inflation expectations. It started from his transitory days. And again, he defended himself, Mike, in the most recent Jackson Hole speech by saying that he had a lot of company in the transitory group. But that is not an excuse. I was writing at the same time that inflation was going to stay high, it was going to stay sustained, and that the interest rates were going to surge. And all of those happened. I don't know why he's in a hurry, number one, and why we should have this so-called forward guidance. I say so-called because it only causes confusion. And why he should be saying that suggesting interest rates are going to be cut only to pivot again.
This is one of the longest periods when the Fed has remained on pause at a high after a tightening cycle, Sri. It's not as if it's some kind of a hurry. I just feel like the whole framework the Fed has been working with for a while leads them to exactly this conclusion. And I guess if that's your view, that they're offside this far once again, you must hate bonds here.
No, actually, I love bonds. And I have been saying on this program repeatedly that those who buy 10-year and 30-year treasuries are going to benefit. And that's exactly the way it has happened. I started to say that, and in fact, Joe is aware that I've been riding the yield curve down and saying that long-dated yields are good. And the reason is, I think that the Fed will keep cutting, because I'm not saying that bonds are a good idea because inflation is going to stay low. I'm saying that because I think the Fed will misjudge the situation. Investors need to take advantage of that. And I have been saying for quite a while that my target for the 10-year is about 350 on the yield, and we haven't reached there yet, and we are going to get there.
When you say the Fed is misjudging the situation, do you think there is a potential that the August payrolls could come in much stronger than expected, and therefore the adjustment toward policy easing won't ultimately take place? Is that a possibility?
Leslie, I think whether August turns out to be significantly higher job creation or not, the Fed is determined to cut on September 18th. I think it is no longer data dependent. In fact, even though the Fed says it is data dependent, they want to interpret the data to suit whatever they want to do. And clearly, Jerome Powell and a few of his colleagues have been itching for several months to cut rates. Unfortunately, it did not work out in December. And in September of this year, they are going to do it somewhat May, Leslie. So my expectation is once they do that, you're going to cause one more of a rally. And now the markets essentially made the Fed promise a rate cut. 25 basis points is not going to be enough on September 18th. The market is going to want 50. Why not 75? Why not keep increasing, cutting it by 50 basis points every meeting?
Yep.
Problem with it is there is no end when the Fed becomes a follower rather than the leader of the market. When you don't have set principles that you determine interest rates by, the markets are going to take advantage of it.
Interesting. All right, move on. Let's see what we got. Expected gas prices to continue to drop as we get into the fall. Let's see what they got to say again over here about an hour ago.
According to Gas Buddy Labor Day travel forecast, gas prices are expected to fall to $3.27 per gallon this holiday weekend, or lower in some regions of the country. That's down 13% from a year ago and the lowest Labor Day price since 2021. Joining us now, Patrick DeHaan, Gas Buddy, head of petroleum analysis. Patrick, thank you for being here. So what do you attribute these declines to? Is it weather? Is it geopolitics? I mean, why are we seeing a bit of relief this year?
Well, kind of a little bit of all of the above. We haven't seen heat waves, which last year knocked out refineries, especially on the West Coast and the Corn Belt. That happened going into Labor Day. That's why last year's national average was nearly 50 cents a gallon higher than this year as well.
You just say the Corn Belt? Is that what I heard?
Well, is falling oil prices. Now, some of that can be blamed on the slowdown in the economy. The U.S. and China both not seeing as much oil demand and gasoline demand compared to last year. And so that breathing room has provided the room for gas prices to decline. And it's going to get better here as we get into Labor Day. Prices are continuing to drop. We expect by Labor Day another 7-cent drop or so. And it gets better. We're already tracking 7 states below $3 a gallon.
Dude, look at the price up in these states. That's crazy.
And 20% of the nation's gas stations already reporting a price below $3. And those numbers will continue to rise as we get into the fall.
I'm curious about the interplay between consumer behavior with regard to EVs and gas demand. And I ask because you've got Ford and GM recently kind of recalibrating their EV ambitions. And largely that's due to just consumer behavior and the decision by a lot of consumers to opt for a hybrid or just a traditional type of car. How do you think gas prices play a role there? And what does that mean for demand for gas if we are seeing such a large-scale recalibration relative to what we were expecting?
Yeah, that's a great question. Something we're talking about here at this convention is all of that talk about manufacturers that are moving back to hybrids, kind of away from some of those EVs. Americans in some areas just not quite ready. And with lower energy prices, Americans like the reliability of having a vehicle that they can both run on battery power for a certain amount of miles and also then have the reliance of the massive fuel network, the 150,000 gas stations across the country. That's part of the conversation that is limiting somewhat the return of gasoline demand to pre-pandemic levels. But that's certainly something that Americans are looking more at, that is hybrids rather than full-on electric vehicles. And we're seeing manufacturers certainly change to pivot to that result that Americans are looking for more of those mild hybrids.
I would say,
I mean, you think a lot of people getting into like the electric cars, like how do you afford to, for one, have somebody come in and put that damn plug in your house? Because 90% of houses don't have that plug for your car, right? And then two, like the electric prices in general, it's like you're trying to go electric to save money on gas, and you're just getting, no spit, just dry jammed from the electric company. That's pretty much the best way I could put it. It's terrible.
Actually, I never thought about that, Patrick. What would you call it? VoltBuddy.com, electric. And I'm glad for you that it's
I think you've got a lot of great ideas there. I think you're definitely onto something.
If you're looking at actually electricity prices, I couldn't help but think, though, Patrick, it's a beautiful system, isn't it? The way the dynamics of supply and demand kind of override everything else. I mean, if these companies decided $5 a gallon gas would be awesome.
Yeah.
They can't do it. You can't do it. You can't put it at $5. We don't need controls. Things happen based on supply and demand. Do they not?
I love that this is a supply and demand story. And you know what? We're going to hear more of it getting closer to the election. We're going to have finger pointing. But at the end of the day, it's all about global supply and demand, not just in the U.S. The U.S. certainly one of the bigger stories, and China. But this is good old Econ 101.
Dude, that's crazy. All right, we're gonna move on. But yeah, I know it's a 240 volt outlet. DJ was saying it was pretty simple, but yeah, you can do it yourself. I mean, just like the average Joe, it's not legal. Like, so my state, you can't pull your own electrical permits anymore, right? So you have to have somebody to pull it for you. But obviously a license, and yeah, that's the thing, right? And if you guys know, I'm a master plumber by trade, right? So I know how much plumbers make an hour. I know how much electricians make an hour too. It's a lot. It's not cheap, and there's usually a minimum. So, and on top of that, actually copper is expensive as hell, and they lock everything up now because people in my area, at least, are stealing it because it's so expensive. It's crazy. So like, you're just getting hosed everywhere, right? Electric, car, or gas, doesn't matter. You're effed. Let's see. Nvidia has the potential to change the outlook for the AI investing overall. Let's see. I gotta say over here.
Jackson Hole last week, Jay Powell really signaling we're going to get those cuts coming up. We saw just about everything move higher. That was Friday. How do you see today playing out?
Yes, well, investors finally heard the words they wanted to hear from the Federal Reserve when Chair Powell said the time has come for policy to adjust. The question then becomes, adjust by how much and when? I believe that the March dot plot chart comes back onto the table now, which showed 3 rate cuts of 25 basis points each in 2024, we still have 3 meetings remaining. So I believe we're going to get those 3 25 basis point cuts this year. Going forward, though, I think they become much more gradual, possibly quarterly cuts from that point forward, because they're still concerned with the threat of a potential recession, much more so than they are with inflation staying above 2%.
So if we're having inflation concerns, why not do a 50 basis point cut in September? Wouldn't that alleviate some of those concerns and maybe take some pressure off the economy?
I believe that it would, but I believe that we also won't do that. They don't want a surprise market. They want to be gradual. They, of course, remember the last time they cut interest rates prior to inflation moving back to their 2% target in the mid-1970s. We saw the return of inflation to double-digit levels. They then had to step back in and raise short-term interest rates to 20%. We think 5.25% is restrictive. Can you imagine 20%? That, of course, brought on a recession. So this is a difficult situation that they find themselves in, which is why I think they're going to take a very gradual pace from here.
All right, so you're saying it's going to stay gradual. I also want to see how you see today shaping up. What's your WEX word of the day?
Juggernaut is my WEX word for the day, and I can't think of any better company to represent a juggernaut than NVIDIA. And NVIDIA's earnings this Wednesday have the potential to actually change investor psyche and also the outlook for AI investing overall. Think about what lies ahead for NVIDIA right now. I think they're going to report strong earnings, strong revenues, and strong forward-looking guidance. We also know they're spending in the data center space, which they call AI factories. They're going to confirm their rollout schedule, not just for Blackwell Ultra next year, but Rubin and Rubin Ultra in the following 2 years. NVIDIA is becoming the hub of the AI ecosystem, very similar to that how Amazon has become the hub of the e-commerce ecosystem.
All right, I want to get to your picks. You gave us a number of picks, a lot more in the tech space. You have a lot of confidence that NVIDIA earnings are going to be better than expected, and that's going to bleed into the rest of the tech space in a positive way, not in a negative way, of course. I want to get to 2 of your other ticks, kind of the picks and shovels trades. One of them is a company called Vertiv. The other one is the utility sector. So we're going to show since Q3. Vertiv, you can see right here, actually down 9%, utilities up 10%, kind of inverse moves for these 2 different areas. Just curious, why Vertiv as opposed to just utilities? Utilities seem to be the safer play. I actually had the fortune of talking to a utility CEO. He says every big tech company is calling every day. We need more power. We need more power.
We also know that data centers not only burn a lot of power, but they run very hot. What does Vertiv do? They supply electricity, infrastructure, and the cooling solutions to data centers. So these AI factories need the services of Vertiv to stay cool and also use energy more efficiently. I also like utilities, though. Utilities are a very nice backdoor play into the AI revolution. A company such as Southern Company pays an attractive yield of about 3.3%. Forward P is only around 21. And guess what? They supply electricity and natural gas utilities to individuals, businesses, and data centers.
Almost out of time. One thing about Vertiv, forward PE of about 27 times. Do you think some of the decline here is just people getting religion on valuation?
Absolutely has to be the case. And we're also seeing some other competitors come into the fray as well, offering cooling and infrastructure solutions.
Oh man, that's gonna get loud. Carl Coate said, did he just say backdoor play? Oh, that was the best emoji to put in the chat. That was great. But seriously, just the whole man lately. So I took my niece clothes shopping yesterday, and my God, I paid, I think it was $500 for like 8 pairs of jeans. I'm not even kidding. And they were like, buy one get one 50% off. It's insane how much everything is now. Recession is just around the corner for sure. All right, Fed rate cuts. Let's see, seen as positive. Let's see, investors shift focus beyond tech, experts weigh in. Let's see what they got to say here. Again, then we're going to get into the videos of the day. Let's do it.
Research, 18 rate cutting cycles since 1970. You said 11 were out of desperation, 7 were celebratory. How would you categorize this one?
I think we're still in the celebratory bucket right now, which is great news for investors. And I say that because the job market's slowing down, but it's still pretty clear that we're not in crisis mode yet. So that shows that the Fed is cutting on its own terms, and we still have time to save this expansion.
Delano, agree, disagree? Is this celebratory? Is this desperation? We have talked quite a bit about the market slowing down in recent weeks, or excuse me, the economy slowing down in recent weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's still in the celebratory bucket. One thing we're looking at is how fast we'll see the rate cuts. And I think it's dependent on the data that we still see going forward. We are getting data that's showing that the loosening of the job market is happening, and there's things that are shifting in the economy. So I think right now we sit in the celebratory bucket, but that could shift depending on what we see from the data going forward.
All right, so we're, according to you guys, both in celebration mode, at least when it comes to Fed cuts. Delano, I know you're looking at something that's coming up this week. That's NVIDIA earnings. We've been talking quite a bit about this. We're going to show a graphic we'll probably continue to show throughout this show and even tomorrow. NVIDIA, big weighting in the S&P, about 6% of the S&P, about 7.5% of the NASDAQ 100. The implied volatility after earnings, our CNBC data team says, it's a plus or minus move of 10%. So, Delano, how are you seeing this earnings report? Are you positioning ahead of it? If you're an investor, do you need to make moves to prepare for this possible level of volatility?
I think what we looked at was late July, early August. We saw the NVIDIA come down about 35% from its highs of 140. And I think if you're looking at it from a good entry point, around $90 to $100 was a good entry point. And that's where we took a little bit of action there. I think right now you want to hold through earnings. I think they will perform well. If you look at over the last 2 quarters, they've done really well on earnings, despite being at some points supply constrained. I think there's still some upside room there, but we like the position right now where we're holding. We do see long-term value in NVIDIA and the growth into their valuation. But right now we like our position.
Callie, how are you seeing this NVIDIA earnings report? A lot of people, including Dan Ives here on the show last week, had a lot of confidence about NVIDIA not only meeting these sky-high expectations, but also beating it, and that beat actually translating to gains in the rest of the tech sector. Agree or disagree with that idea that we're in a setup for NVIDIA not only to beat, but other tech names getting a benefit from that beat?
The expectations are definitely high. And at Ritholtz, we look at stocks more on a sector level than a single name level. But hey, I'm one of those people who sits and marvels at NVIDIA quarter after quarter from the sidelines. So yes, expectations are quite high. Tech has been a victim of its own success this earnings season. But, NVIDIA, if anybody's going to pull a rabbit out of the hat, it tends to be NVIDIA. I think investors are going to focus more on management commentary after the fact. I mean, hey, I would love to see a sales beat and an earnings beat, but I think management commentary is especially important in this quarter, now that the AI story is cooling off a bit.
So you say the AI story is cooling off a bit. If you look last week, the Mag 7 not doing as well as the S&P, not doing as well as the equal weight, but still having a very strong week. If it's cooling off, what sectors, Callie, do you think are actually heating up right now? Where would you want to put money to work?
Well, I want to be clear, first of all. I mean, the AI story is still quite compelling. It's just the expectations are still also quite high right now. So, as rates come down, as the Fed signals a cut in September, but this cut still looks celebratory, meaning that the economy could continue to grow if the Fed is able to save this expansion. I think that there are compelling opportunities outside of tech. And right now, with rates still quite high but coming lower, investors are being selective. They're looking at other sectors outside of tech after a spectacular first half of the year for tech. So I'm thinking about small caps. I'm thinking about rate sensitive sectors. I'm essentially thinking about pretty much everything else outside of tech. But this is good news. This is the bull market waking up. And it's especially good if you're one of those investors who hasn't felt like the bull market has benefited their portfolio.
So, by the way, we are on record high watch. The S&P less than 1% from a new record high, that magic number 5667. Delano, coming back over to you with the last word. I know sometimes you come on and you say when the markets are really moving higher and pushing higher, you want to take some money off the table. Is this one of those opportunities, or with the idea that we're getting rate cuts, should you have confidence just to kind of let them ride with the market and continue to kind of keep your money invested?
I think you can keep your money invested. I think if there's cash on the sidelines, one of the areas you want to look at right now is potentially being defensive. As you mentioned, we are at highs. We've seen a pretty strong run from tech and from other areas of the market. Now, if there's areas where investors are looking to put cash to work, being defensive right now might be a good opportunity. If you look at some of the big box retailers like Walmart, they had strong earnings report, and Target also had strong earnings report after rebound. So I think there's opportunities for investors that are itching to do something. But I do think right now, if you have been in the Mag 7, you have been in tech, this is an opportunity time for investors to hold those positions and kind of wait and see what happens through September as we get into October and the rest of the year.
Interesting. All right, let's move on to videos of the day. Now we get into the Bitcoin stuff. Bitcoin, you maybe have 1 month left. This is Lark Davis. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. He's got 580K subs. And yeah, he does good videos. So let's see what he's going to say. I'm going to bump this app actually to 1.2 playback speed just because my kids are definitely going to be bombing the stream in a minute. You can hear them getting rowdy up there. All right, let's do it.
If we're lucky, you've probably got about 1 month left to ever accumulate Bitcoin around these current prices. Maybe the next bear market lows will get you down around here. And this isn't just like, my opinion, man. No. A lot of data actually could back this up. And look, most Bitcoiners
actually, we're going to watch Altcoin Daily's video next. And he actually did, he talks to a trader that actually goes over the cycles. And it's kind of, I haven't watched it yet, but he's usually pretty good and on point with all this stuff. So I think he's going to explain previous cycles and this cycle and how they correlate. So it's going to be kind of neat.
Already have this persistent nagging feeling that they just have not stacked enough. And I know what you're thinking. Holy crap, you guys still have money left? Yeah, not me really. But anyway, somebody does.
I definitely don't know. I just took my knee shopping. God damn it.
Well, no, I bet you know, obviously. So I'm not trying to up the pressure here, right? I know a lot of us are already balls deep in the market, sometimes overextended. But we've got to be honest with ourselves about the window of opportunity in front of us and how that means, of course, not just for stacking, but for if you're just holding, what could come next? Because that window is closing. When the window closes, the next phase comes. Once that window is gone, of course, it's gone for good. So in today's video, let's look at the reasons for why I think we've got maybe a month left to accumulate at the current prices before market supply shock really hits. And we could say goodbye to ever for Bitcoin, well, around current prices, let's say. Let's start by looking at the Bitcoin Bollinger Bands on the weekly time frame. As you can see, Bitcoin's Bollinger Bands are extremely doit. They're very doit right now. Yes, even after the big sell-off. Even after the big sell-off, they're still super, super tight. The Bollinger Band width has barely budged. It's the end of the world. Bollinger Band width, like, whatever. Anyway, in fact, they've only been this tight 2 other times in Bitcoin's history. Once is in April 2016, and again in August of 2023. Tight Bollinger Bands tell us that Bitcoin is gearing up for a major move. So we know something big is around the corner. Now, turning to Bitcoin's price history after its previous halvings, and look, this isn't rocket science, okay? Because what happens for the price of an asset when the newly issued supply of said asset entering into the market is cut in half, but demand at a minimum remains constant or increases? Bitcoin ETFs, anybody? Number goes up. It's just logic, right? And of course, this is the entire basis of Plan B's stock to flow model. And speaking of stock to flow, look at the first 3 halvings. What Keller begins to print on this model when Bitcoin's price hits that point of no return? That's orange. That's right. So as you can see, that's the next Keller.
That's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. It's not going to be as explosive as obviously back here, but
do on the model at present. But let's drill down a little bit more. Let's get into the details a bit. Bitcoin's first halving, November 28th, 2012. Price is $12. As you can see, it took just over 1 month for the supply shock to kick in. Bitcoin's a baby asset back then, so it's not surprising. July 19th, 2016, Bitcoin's second halving price was around $650. This time it took 5 months for the supply shock to really hit and for the market to start to be really impacted. Fast forward, May 22nd, 2020, Bitcoin's third halving. Bitcoin is trading at $9,200. Here, it took just over 5 months for the supply shock to hit. Now, Here we are, 2024, April 19th of this year, Bitcoin's fourth halving. We were priced at around $63,700 at that time. Assuming that the 2024 supply shock takes 5 months to hit as it did in 2016 and 2020, then Bitcoin could be hitting a new high price at some point in late September or early October. It's not to say we go to $200,000 overnight, but we go up to...
That was kind of neat, though, the way he kind of did that. Dan R., thank you so much for the $10 super chat, man. He said, smash that like button. Chump changes at 99.4K subs, dude. Thank you so much. I know it's like literally been 3 years grinding, but we're almost at 100K. I'm very excited, and I appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much.
$75,000, for example, about just a month from now, actually, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 2 months. Okay, but
it's usually
we're
October.
Getting closer and closer to that supply shock reality. Notice further that once the supply shock hits, never in Bitcoin's history has the price really gone back down to what was established at the previous halving. Oh, we've gone back to retest bear market lows and previous highs and stuff, but not previous halving prices. So that's why I think we'll soon be saying toodaloo to Bitcoin in this price range. These damn supply shocks, man. It's like the event horizon of crypto. Once Bitcoin's price crosses the tipping point, there's no going back, man. No going back now. Now, before we continue, I want to take a quick second to let you know about the Wealth Mastery newsletter. This is your weekly guide to the cryptocurrency markets. Look.
No.
Okay, so next point to discuss. The impending Fed rate cuts. But Lark, it's going to be bearish and the market's going to go to zero. We know that lower Fed rates mean higher prices in assets like stocks and crypto, and higher rates mean the opposite usually. But what does the data say specifically with regards to Bitcoin? Well, here's Bitcoin's price in blue plotted against the Fed fund rate in orange. You'll notice that since 2019, there has been an inverse relationship between the price and the Fed fund rate. Interesting. And of course, Fed interest rate cuts.
That was kind of interesting. Can we go back to that for a second? That's weird. Now the ETFs are here and look at that. Look what happens.
And the Fed fund rate. Interesting. And of course, Fed interest rate cuts outside of a recession, very important, have historically been bullish events. Inside a recession, say goodnight, it's over. Your coins are going down bad. Anyway, when rates move down again, expect price to go north, because right now we're not in a recession. Also, it's super encouraging to see Bitcoin rip in 2024 and range at all-time highs. pretty crazy place. Really think about the range we've been in face, of course, of historically high interest rates. This really is a testament to the ETF's $17 billion plus inflows, by the way. So once rates trend downwards again, buckle your seatbelts up because Papa Bitcoin's going to go for a joyride. How long it lasts? Nobody knows. Now, the beautiful thing here is that rate cuts should start in September, which aligns perfectly with the coming supply shock. Satoshi man. So these cuts will serve as a nitro boost. Let's talk politics. So currently, by the way, poly market prediction markets, which are basically the go-to now for predicting the future, currently show a 94% chance the Fed will cut rates on September 18th. And if by chance it doesn't happen, there's a 95% chance for a November cut. And if it fails there, there's a 96% chance for a December cut. Basically, we're getting cuts, guys. So we pretty much know that at least one rate cut is happening this year. What's particularly is interesting is how deep the cuts might be, according to the prediction markets again. Now, this title's a bit...
I forgot I had him on 1.2. I was like, he needs to chill on this Adderall or whatever he's taking, because Jesus.
Misleading because the bet settles on the total basis point reduction by the end of the year and not how many times the Fed cuts. But what you can see is that prediction markets are currently favoring a 50, 75, or 100 basis point total reduction by the end of 2024. So 25 basis points September, 25 October, 25 November, for example. So we know the rate cuts are coming in probably less than a month. And this will serve as a tailwind with our supply shock. Perfect storm coming together, assuming we don't have some giant macro meltdown, World War III or some crap like that happen. Next, we have the upcoming U.S. presidential election. Now, unless you've been under a rock, then you know that both Donald Trump and RFK Jr. have made some big Bitcoin promises, including making the corn a strategic reserve asset. Crazy if that happens. Even though Kamala Harris has asked for a reset.
What's up with the corn thing today? That's so weird. I disappear for a week and like everyone's talking about corn now. What the hell's going on?
The crypto industry, most believe her olive branch words to be nothing more than just words, man. You can just say them. It's crazy. So my point here is that there's a trade setting up with regards to Bitcoin based on the political outcomes, based on the outcomes of the election. And obviously it coincides with their anticipated supply shock and our rate cuts. I mean, the election's only a month later, basically. So the way I'm currently seeing it, a Trump or RFK victory, well, it's going to be Trump. RFK is probably joining the Trump ticket. At the time of recording this, we're not sure yet. We'll find out by the time we watch this. We'll figure it out. Anyway, that will serve as additional fuel for an even harder supply shock pump. Well, a Harris victory would neither help nor hurt Bitcoin's price action. Would just be a continuation of the same aggressive policies probably we've had for the last 4 years. Currently, Polymarket gives Trump a 52% chance of winning over Harris's 47%. So if you're a single issue Bitcoin voter, there's room for optimism here. And finally, there's massive geopolitical news that's happening. Russia, of course, one of the big stories on July 30th, the Russian parliament passed 2 crypto laws that will both take effect this year. The first legalizes crypto mining within the country starting November 1st. The second law lets Russian companies and institutions use crypto in cross-border payments and in international trade. That starts on September 1st. Now, obviously, what's Russia export to the world? Oil and gas, commodities, gold, wood, oats, right? Pretty crazy stuff. And you cannot tell me that China has just seen the U.S. talking about adding Bitcoin as strategic reserve asset and Russia passing all these sweeping legislations. Then they're just going to go, we're going to ignore this. No. The rumors of China are coming back could at some point happen, right? Look, Russia's a big energy superpower and it's the world's 11th largest economy. I think fourth by purchasing power parity. They're making big moves towards Bitcoin. That's big stuff. So look, the clock is ticking. And even though Bitcoin's price has been ranging since February, and I know the last gut-wrenching puke and liquidation of a chunk of my portfolio, crypto markets, crap. Anyway, everything I'm seeing says that this window of accumulation is quickly coming to a close.
I don't think he's wrong. I think he's 100% on point with that. All right, let's move on here. This man predicted everything. What comes next? I'm going to bump this up again to 1.2. I'm going to start a minute in because he just kind of goes through like an intro and plays little clips that annoy the shit out of you because you can't hear the rest of the statement. But we're going to get into this. Let's do it.
Cowan. The U.S. economy and macro factors will decide how bullish Bitcoin's price can climb. So, before we jump into Bitcoin, how is the U.S. economy right now? What are the general macro factors that are contributing to your thoughts on the economy, and where do you see this going? Again, before we jump into Bitcoin.
Sure. I think the two main topics to discuss.
Ooh, hold on. Sorry. Flashbang. Steven Cicero, thank you very much. Did they just post this today? $2,209 for this machine over here. This EKA1M. I don't know why they were so secretive about the price. It was really annoying. It really annoyed me. Not gonna lie. They made this huge 5-year anniversary, big deal. Announced this new miner. I'm gonna hold the price for 2 weeks before we tell you. This is the first time I've seen it though. Awesome. Hell yeah. Steven Cicero, thank you. And also Crypto KJ, thank you for the telling me or showing me this. They changed their logo here, Ton Society, because of this guy got arrested, right? Because he like didn't want to censor free speech or some shit, right? Am I wrong? Is that what happened? I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the Ton guy. Anyways, all right, it's back into the Bitcoin. Let's do it.
as it relates to the economy are the unemployment rate and inflation. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so we can take a look at what's going on.
Yeah, that gold gel miner needs to come down in price to like 1,000. Yeah. maybe 15 tops. Like that's still too high.
So essentially, the two things that the Fed is wrestling with is, can they get inflation back down to their target of 2%? And right now, it seems like things are heading in the right direction. Inflation is at headline is at 2.92%. And if you zoom in, I mean, you can see it's slowly going down. And it is summer of the election year. We're likely going to have a rate cut in September. My guess is that it's just going to be a 25 basis point rate cut. 50 basis point rate cuts are not that common unless the economy is absolutely falling apart. But if you go back and you look at say, like the 1970s, you'll see a very similar period where inflation fell just below 3% in the summer of the election year, and then it started to accelerate again. So the Fed is going to try to avoid repeating that, right? We don't want to see that happen again. I don't think any of us want to go through another wave of inflation. But then on the other end of the spectrum, you have, could they stay too high for too long? If you go back to the 1940s, we actually saw a brief period of deflation in 1949 because they actually kept, they were too tight for too long. So when we talk about, can the Fed achieve a soft landing? It's basically, can they cut soon enough to avoid deflation? And can they wait long enough to avoid a second wave of inflation? The other thing that they're obviously trying to balance is, of course, the unemployment rate. And the unemployment rate is starting to move higher here. It seems like it's sort of entered into a nonlinear phase where it's starting to move up a bit quicker. Now, given we are still at relatively low levels for the unemployment rate, it's still only 4.3%. In the context of history, that's still relatively low. And ultimately, this is what the Fed sort of needs to see happen to soften up the labor market, to reduce the pressures on wage inflation, and to actually get inflation back down to the 2% target. So those are the two things that the Fed's trying to maneuver right now as we go into the end of the year.
So it sounds like you're saying that the economy is not that bad. Things are pretty good. We might have a soft landing. And if so, with the Fed pivot and rate cuts, are you bullish on the economy in 2025?
I think, it's really a tough call. I mean, the economy is very difficult to maneuver. And it seems like every month or so, we're chasing the latest narrative, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, the markets weren't doing so well. We had the carry trade. Bank of Japan was raising rates. The Fed was, the markets were pricing in 125 basis points of rate cuts for the Fed. My thought process is that in order for the riskier assets to start doing better, right? As kind of going back to sort of dominance and sort of, for that stuff to start doing better, we need to get to the point where the Fed is willing to loosen up monetary policy. And it seems like that is coming. Now, I should say, though, we saw the same thing happen in 2019, right? It does seem like history is repeating itself to some degree, where things got a little bit, the economy started to show some concerns. The Fed lowered rates. The crypto markets, kind of faded at the end of 2019. And then the next year, if you ignore the pandemic, right? I mean, that's kind of hard to predict in any model. But if you ignore that, then the markets did pretty well the following year. So, I mean, I think as far as crypto is concerned, I think that there will be still some headwinds ahead for the rest of the year. But hopefully by the time they loosen up monetary policy, hopefully the signs are there that there's at least some type of a soft landing. But I mean, as always, it's, hard landings are possible, and they can sometimes happen, as we saw in 2020.
Someone in the chat just said something with the AL Box 2 Plus. Is that a thing? Is that real? Let me know.
So you say history is repeating, and Bitcoin in 2024 is like Bitcoin in 2019. Could you explain this more?
Yeah, I think, there's two things, right? There's the 4-year cycle, which I think all of us are very familiar with at this point, where Bitcoin tends to operate under these, under a fairly predictable 4-year cycle pattern. And essentially that pattern is where Bitcoin tops out in Q4 of the post-halving year, right? You can see it was in 2013, you can see it in 2017, and also in Q4 of 2021. And every cycle, at least, well, and maybe I shouldn't say every, but at least the last 2 cycles, about...
Pay attention to this stuff. This is like in the important part.
Maybe, 1 to 2 years into the cycle, there's this discussion as to whether we're going to have a left translated peak, essentially where a peak comes much earlier in the cycle than people are thinking. And that discussion became a very hot topic back over here in March of 2024, the same way it did in June of 2019. You can see that both rallies were over 300%, about 350% or so. And it made people talk about right? A left translated cycle where the peak comes a lot sooner. But one of the things that, I've talked a lot about is that what if the 4-year cycle is still intact, but the timing of the rate cut part of the cycle and how it affects crypto is just delayed, right? So instead of it occurring in the pre-halving year, like it did in 2019, where you had a sort of a very quick expansion followed by about 6 months of lower highs and lower lows, and then finally broke out of it. It seems like the same thing has happened, right? It seems like history has in fact repeated itself, where a lot of us get excited and people talk about a left translated peak where Bitcoin's going to go much higher, much sooner than people think. And then the market just sort of fades for a while and people wonder why. Well, I think it's playing out in a very, very similar fashion. And you can look at it on several different scales, right? Or several different metrics. For instance, one of the things that we saw happen was in 2019. Again, let's exclude the pandemic crash for a second. Let's just say, imagine that hard landing didn't happen. Essentially what happened back then is Bitcoin topped and then it trended down for about 6 months. It was about 25 weeks or so. So if you take it from March of 2024, we've already gone down for about 23 weeks, right? And so you can kind of see that a lot of this pattern has been playing out. It feels like this time is different, but I think the reason it feels like that
ETFs.
is because we just got so far ahead of where we normally are. And by the way,
I also think there's more buying pressure because there's more people involved now. It's not like, just guys in their basement like me, I guess, buying Bitcoin. It's now institutions and people that really are, actually investing that would typically invest into a normal stock market, right?
There's actually a lot of other things that happened exactly the same way. For instance, if you were to overlay gold onto the Bitcoin chart, there was a period in 2019, right, where gold broke out. And when it broke out, it marked, if you want to call it the mid-cycle top for Bitcoin, where it faded for about 6 to 9 months. Same thing happened this cycle, right? Gold broke out in March, and that essentially marked what you might call the mid-cycle top. And so I think a lot of this is playing out the same way. And in fact, one way to visualize this that I think everyone could appreciate is if you look at the ROI of Bitcoin from the low in 2022 and you compare it to, say, similar lows in 2018 and 2014, you can actually see that Bitcoin is essentially right where it always is around this time in the cycle. Now, if you measure it from the peak, you can see that it's actually still above where it is at this point in the cycle. In fact, the last 2 cycles, as measured from the peak, Bitcoin was still about 45% below the all-time high. 45% below at this point in the cycle. Now, what I'd like to draw your attention to is the similarities. Look at last cycle.
God, this mic is awful. That is terrible.
Which is this line right here. And the cycle before that, you can see how Bitcoin got ahead of itself in 2019, and then those rate cuts came in, and then Bitcoin sort of mean reverted. Now, if you compare this cycle to the last one, you could argue a very similar thing is happening, or has happened, right? It gets ahead of itself, and then ultimately it mean reverts. So I think there is a lot of evidence to suggest that the cycle really isn't that different. I just think that the Bitcoin dominance part of it, like the bleeding of altcoins back to Bitcoin, is going on longer than it did last cycle, but I think that's due to monetary policy.
And by the way, anybody who wants access to these charts, the Into the Cryptoverse proprietary information and charts you see, I recommend you use it. I have an affiliate link below. I've made some decent money with this this back-end charts you have, and I think you put out good information, so use the affiliate link.
Selling charts. You're only going to make money if you know what you're doing. I don't care if you have a signal that tells you to buy now and when to sell. If you don't know how to trade, you're going to lose money. So be careful, please.
Link below and get access to these charts. But I'll let you plug that at the end. But let's finish up with Bitcoin. So it sounds to me, you're saying like things could be bullish for Bitcoin in 2025. And what are your thoughts on that? And if so, as far as price is concerned, what's your bear case, base case, and bull case?
Well, I would say for Bitcoin, yeah, like if it repeats 2019, right? If it repeats 2019, then essentially, and I said this back in March, right? Essentially, you're going to have about 6 to 9 months where you're going to see a pullback, right? 6 months will be September. Okay, 6 months will be September. So if it repeats what happened in, say, September, then essentially Bitcoin is still going to hang around these levels for at least another few weeks, right? That's if it repeats 2019 without the hard landing. And what that
wait. He's saying we're gonna have a rip down in September, like coming up.
could theoretically look like if you look at, say, like the 100-week moving average, you can see that Bitcoin ultimately revisited its 100-week moving average.
You know what, this thing is, it's kind of interesting. If you look at this line, this 100-week moving average, you look at it, think of it as like a magnet. It kind of, the further the price gets away from that line, the scarier the correction is going to be, because it's going to come down and touch at some point, right? So you got to pay attention to those lines. It's kind of how these guys go off it. But yeah, I didn't realize we were that far away from it, I guess.
In 2019, after rate cuts arrived, right? So it is possible that you could see something like that play out. It's not, you know, it's hard to say. Obviously, it's not like every cycle it happens, but you can see the last 2 cycles after it broke above the 100-week, we eventually went back to it. But I would say in 2025, right, if this all plays out, and, you know, whether you get a hard landing or not, you know, I mean, you can see that we did get a hard landing.
I mean, you can see how it works in the reverse manner too, right? Like if it's stupid far away on the negative side, right? You know it's going to come back up to an extent, right? I mean, it's obviously not exact science, but it's just, that's kind of the way I look at it.
In 2020, whether you get a hard landing or not, there likely is going to be, you know, the Fed coming back to try to save the day. We'll see how successful they are. But I think the bigger story in 2025, I mean, look, Bitcoin has gone on a great rally so far, right? It's up 350% from the lows, essentially. It's done really, really well. But, and I've talked about this on your channel a lot, I think the bigger story next year will actually be, while Bitcoin could go up, I think the altcoin market will likely outperform Bitcoin next year. And you know, I don't say that lightly, right? You know, I don't say that lightly. I mean, I've been on the Bitcoin dominance train for a long time, but I think we need to spend, you know, at least 1 to 4 more months, either September through December. I think Bitcoin dominance will top, and then next year you'll see altcoins likely lead, right? You'll see those go up against Bitcoin. And that's really what I think the real story will be next year. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting to see play out as it relates to the altcoin market is Bitcoin dominance generally topping out before the end of the year around 60%. As far as, you know, as far as prices go, look, you know, price predictions are incredibly difficult to make. I do think, as always, there's going to be some evidence of diminishing returns continuing, and that could be shown by looking at you know, the ROI from the lows, right? And seeing that, you know, basically every cycle, the ROI from the low diminishes, right? I don't know exactly where it's going to go this time. You know, it would certainly be nice if Bitcoin could eventually hit 6 figures, but there's also evidence to suggest that it could top out before that. So I don't really know exactly where it's going to top, but I will say that I think we're getting to the final part of where Bitcoin outperforms, and I think next year you'll actually see altcoins outperform Bitcoin.
Wow.
Oh, that'd be cool. So yeah.
Oh, so it sounds like you're saying sometime in the next maybe 4 to 6 months is the best time ever to buy altcoins.
Well, in a more trying to think about how to say it, in a more risk averse way to say it, I guess. You know, normally what happens with
we need an alt season bad. It's been rough. It's been real rough.
Look, I think that, and I've said this before, right? I think that ETH Bitcoin is sort of the harbinger for the altcoin market, right? It tells you how healthy the altcoin market is, how healthy or unhealthy it is. And what I'm looking at right now, as it relates to Ethereum, because I mean, there's no doubt about it that Ethereum has really underperformed Bitcoin for the last, you know, 2.5 years, right? I mean, really, especially since the merge, ETH has underperformed Bitcoin. But what I want to draw your attention to, and I think it's important to understand the altcoin market by looking at this metric, ETH has gone through the same pattern with Bitcoin 2 times before, where it sets a low, and after setting that low, it bounces to a double top and then comes back down and eventually breaks below that low. And you can see that it broke below it in November 2016, and then it broke below it in July of 2019. And then ETH Bitcoin then bottomed out within 1 to 2 months, right? So in 2016, it bottomed out 1 month later. In 2019, it bottomed out 2 months later. That doesn't mean that ETH USD has to immediately go up, right? And I want to be clear about that. I'm not saying that it will. And in fact, I think, honestly, I think there could be a little bit more pain for Ethereum before we see it hopefully rebound into 2025. And the reason I say that is because, you know, a lot of people have wondered, like, why has Bitcoin gone to new all-time highs, but Ethereum has not, right? Why has Bitcoin done so well? And again, it's basically people taking on the lower risk asset, Bitcoin. They're more worried about the higher risk assets because they don't know, you know, exactly how much the Fed's going to cut rates, if it's actually going to if it's going to lead people to take more risk. But here's a really interesting chart. If you look at Bitcoin and you see what had to happen before it went to a new all-time high, you can see that it actually went to its lower logarithmic regression trend line, right? So it did that back in 2022. It actually went below it, kind of like it did over here in 2020. And so after it went there, then Bitcoin put in new all-time highs. Now, if you look at Ethereum and you look at the same type of trend line, the logarithmic regression trend line, what you'll notice is that ETH actually never went down there. And what's fascinating is that the last two times that ETH Bitcoin broke down, 2016 and 2019, after that happened, after ETH Bitcoin broke down, ETH USD then fell to the logarithmic regression trend line. And then once it fell down there, it then got a big bounce out of it. Now look at the difference, right? Look at the difference. In 2016, it had a move all the way down here in August of the halving year. This wick right here is August of the Bitcoin halving year. It then trended up into September and then had the final drop in Q4. Last cycle, after ETH made the same move, it also happened in August. It was just the August of the pre-halving year. That was when rate cuts were occurring. And then you can see that as you got out into Q4, ETH USD fell to the bottom. But my point is this: when it happened in 2016, ETH USD dropped and then had a big rebound out of it, right? In 2019, when ETH USD dropped down here, it then had a big rebound out of it. So you have to wonder, right? Is it just going to do the same thing where it gets this drop down and then just gets a big rebound out of it into 2025? Look, I think there's a good case we made that that could happen. And I think that what first needs to happen, ETH Bitcoin bottoms out. I think between 0.03 to 0.04 is where it's going to bottom. It's already even gone to 0.04. So I think it bottoms out there. And then ETH USD finds a low, right? It could certainly be a higher low from back over here. And then in 2025, ideally the riskier stuff then starts to outperform. But again, I still think we're a few months away from that.
And, altcoins really rallying hard. That makes sense to me. I mean, in 2025, after Bitcoin clearly breaks over its all-time highs, Arthur Hayes from BitMEX said recently that he thinks only after Bitcoin clears 70K and Ethereum reclaims 4K, we're going to see a massive alt season. And, I think we see that almost every cycle where Bitcoin breaks all-time highs. People who have been in the market for a while feel this wealth effect where it's like, well, I'm not getting the returns that I used to be getting with the higher caps. I'm going to put some of that money into lower caps. Plus, new people coming into the market are thinking, oh, I missed out on Bitcoin or Ethereum. I need to put it in the more degen plays. And you just get this massive alt cycle.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's honestly, it's pretty clear, right? I mean, your two last alt seasons were in the post-halving year, right? This is the Bitcoin dominance yearly candles, right? So if you're wanting alt season, you want to see Bitcoin dominance go down, right? The last time you had a big yearly candle where dominance went down was the post-halving year of 2021. The time before that was the post-halving year of 2017. So look, 3 green, 3 year. Basically what happens is that you're right. I mean, you basically said it. I don't really think I could say it any better. Essentially what happens is that people that were riding the Bitcoin train during tighter and tighter monetary policy, they know what's up with the crypto markets. But then when you get to the post-halving year and you get to looser monetary policy and all that good stuff, altcoins outperform. So then you get a lot of new retail investors that come into the market, right? You get a lot of new retail investors, and then those investors only ever see Bitcoin dominance go down, 2017 and 2021. So then when you get out to 2026 and 2027, those people are likely going to think that Bitcoin dominance will keep going down, but in reality, you're likely just going to see the same thing repeat. By the way, there's been this interesting discussion recently as to whether what we just saw in March of 2024 was similar to 2021. And I actually don't think so. I really think they look a lot different to me. And the reason for that is if you look at the social risk, and this is something we've talked about on your channel before, you can see pretty clearly that retail is just not here in the same way that they were here back in 2021 or in 2017. This is loading right now, so it'll take a few seconds. We're loading in a lot of channels, but these are new YouTube views to crypto YouTube channels, including your own, by the way. And you can see that in 2021, these the collective views for all these channels were averaging around 3 to 4 million a day. Today,
it was crazy. And he's not wrong. The views have been down so bad. This bear market was freaking awful to grow on YouTube. If I didn't start doing the solar content, my channel would still be pretty stagnant, to be honest.
They're averaging around 800,000 a day. So you're essentially looking at 1/5 of the interest that we had in 2021. And the reason why that's important is because if you sort of plot this out, you normalize it, you account for just increased interest overall, because you just have, there's always going to be some level of adoption. You get a chart that also looks like 2019, right? Where this sort of this intermediate rally, the QT, the quantitative tightening side of the cycle, the rally by Bitcoin, it gets some interest, but then that interest just sort of goes back down. And then it was the following year where looser policy arrives, lower rates, quantitative easing. That's where retail comes back. That's where Bitcoin dominance goes down, and that's where alt season occurs. So my best guess for when alt will outperform Bitcoin is going to be 2025. And it doesn't mean that, you have to wait until 2025 to see them bottom out against Bitcoin. I think it could happen, as early as September. But I do think, you can kind of see how the market is setting up in the same way it did last cycle. I just think the thing that has thrown people a curveball this cycle is that where rate cuts are happening, right? Last cycle, it was in the post-halving or the pre-halving year. This cycle, it's in the halving year.
Ben, please plug your Into the Cryptoverse.
No, please don't. All right. With that being said, that's pretty interesting. He's pretty decent at charting. It's I mean, you guys take it as you will. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion on certain people. It is what it is. Anyways, let's get into the recap segment of things because my kids are going fucking nuts upstairs and I can hear them. We got Bitcoin over here, $63,604. Got Ethereum at $27.19. Solana is under 160 now at $157. I wonder what's going to happen. Is the Solana ETF still going to go through, you guys think? What do you think? I'm pretty sure last week I heard some weird news about it, but I'm not positive. We got BNB at $560. ETC is at 1982. You know what? Thinking about ETC, I got to get my jazz miners on in the solar trailer today. It's kind of sunny out, actually. Kaspa over here, 17 cents, just about 16.9 to be exact. Let's see, Dogecoin 10.7. I really wonder how that triple mining is going to affect Dogecoin, Litecoin. If it's going to affect it in a negative way with bells over there, because I know you can triple mine on these L7s. Flashbang quick, we got Fear and Greed Index over here at a 55. Just refresh it quick. Yep, still 55. Neutral was yesterday 54, so doing pretty good. We want to be right there in the middle. That Dogs coin is out of here. People rugged that one right in front of your eyes. Over here on Crypto Bubbles, biggest earner of the day seems to be Fetch AI, 9.5% up, $1.37. HNT still 4.5% up on the day, $6.63. I don't know if anybody's into that. We over here have the Akash Network, AKT, $2.94, ranked 90th. Interesting. Out of top 100 coins. Interesting. Render's down 3.4 today. This Render might be a good buy, man. I think Render's going to do well, to be honest. I need somebody to pump Shiba, please. Been holding down a Coinbase forever. Crazy. It's down 3.1% today. World Coin's down 5.8, actually. $1.75. I feel like that's cheap. Am I wrong? Jeez. Yeah, it was $10. Damn. Yeah, that's 80% down. Crazy. All right, let's see real quick. I want to look at Octaspace. How's Octaspace doing? Because I was thinking about that ETC miners, and you can mine with your old Ethash machines because the DAG size is lower on Octaspace. So those like old iPolos that still do Ethash, you could mine Octaspace. $1.53. This one's been taking a little bit of a shit actually, but it kind of has these. It's kind of like stepping up a ladder over here. 3 months. Yeah, it's a little bit of a downtrend, but it was $2 something cents. Let's see, $2.39. It's all-time high, 36% down. Interesting, very interesting. I don't know. I was crushing solo blocks that a while ago. It was last year actually, but now not so much. Anyways, guys, listen, happy Monday. I appreciate y'all for hanging out with me on the daily grind. I gotta go back to daddy duty. Got a lot of things to do today, and I gotta clean up the studio because if you guys could see right next to me, there's shit everywhere. Oh, it's brutal. Anyways, appreciate you all. Have a good one. I'll catch you guys bright and early tomorrow morning around 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, I'll catch you soon. Peace out and have a good day. Oh, we're going to raid Mr. Crypto Mikkel. I apologize. Stay put. I'll put you guys over there. I didn't realize he was live. My bad. Let me get you situated and then we'll go. All right, you guys should be good. Have a good day. I will catch you soon. And peace out.
If she don't hawk to her, we don't talk to her.
Eat shit, Gary.